surprised today that in our increasingly media-driven culture, what we see on television says a lot about the society we currently live in. The characters we see, the topics that are dealt with, and the situations that arise all reflect something about our modern culture. What works is often repeated. That is why it is no longer a surprise when entire episodes are repeated with the different cast of characters on a different network and with a different name.
I must have seen that same thing happen in like a dozen TV shows.
Some of the most common tropes today can be represented in 5 categories. What do these 5 categories say about our society? Our ideals, our hopes, our fears? What are we seeing in the reflection that now is the television screen? The first, mockumentary. These have become increasingly popular in recent years. Usually they involve an unconventional workplace, like Parks and Recreation or The Office. Sometimes they involve an unconventional family, like on Modern Family. Before this rise of mockumentary television was a rise of actual reality television, which usually focuses on very privileged characters. We want to see our own lives reflected back to us. Excessively wealthy narcissists just aren't relatable to the majority. Mockumentary television capitalizes on finding humor in the mundane. What can people relate to? Boring jobs, wild extended families, and the intrinsic feeling of being the only sane one in a room full of idiots. The second common trope that we see on today's television, strong male antihero. Now I have to admit, the whole idea of the antihero is definitely not new. Film noir became incredibly popular in the 1940s as the United States was coming out of World War II. Soldiers were returning home. They were heroes, of course, but they were heroes who had dark pasts, secrets that they may not be able to share. However, in current times, that obsession has risen from watching a character reach redemption in a 90-minute film to watching them struggle for it week after week after week. In today's society, moral rises to success aren't relatable anymore. That is why television now focuses on dark, conflicted characters who have a soft underbelly to make them likable. As the audience watches, it's almost as if they're searching for a redemptive solution that will affirm their own understanding of right and wrong. Mad Men, Breaking Bad, The Wire, Dexter, all of these are great examples. The third trope, irrelevant first world problems. It is no surprise that television acts, for a lot of people, like an escape. Mindless television doesn't necessarily have to be bad television. Clever writers can make these minor issues seem really fundamental in nature and go down to the major themes that we see in literature and other types of storytelling. We come back to watch these privileged characters week after week after week. We love them, we root for them, we care about them. After a stressful day at work, a lot of people don't want to turn on the news to hear about others' lack of sanity or clothing or shelter or food. It is certainly possible to become absorbed in lives that are more secure than yours. In that half-hour or hour period, you lose track of your own struggles. You forget that possibly you have bills to pay, something's going wrong in your family, or you're feeling immense pressure at work. Shows like Girls, Sex and the City, Friends, Seinfeld all focus on privileged characters who are lovable to the people who watch them week after week after week. These small entertainments certainly act as a relaxing end to a stressful day. Trope 4, quirky professional with a twist. A lot of times, this genre takes professions which are typecast for having boring occupants, such as doctors, detectives, police officers, lawyers, and businessmen. A lot of times the twist is a flaw or something wrong with the character, yet it makes them interesting to watch, even in a boring backdrop. Shows like Bones, Psych, House, and Suits all focus on these professional characters who are able to capitalize on their flaws and make themselves more successful. It is a comforting thought to think that we can be incredibly successful in spite or even because of our flaws. It makes us feel that even though something looks boring from the outside doesn't mean it actually is. Additionally, it's telling us to ignore career-based stereotypes. Trope 5, underemployed, charming, 20-something slackers. Old sitcom archetypes are certainly going extinct. The overweight dad with the attractive wife, annoying neighbor, and disappointing kids just isn't seen on television anymore. This is because it doesn't resonate with current audiences. The people who are watching sitcoms nowadays are young.
No, I'm sick of those shows. The whole will they, won't they. It's like an insult to the viewer.
With this generational overturn, TV has changed to cater to millennials. Millennials know what it's like to be underemployed, to have unconventional relationships, and to have wild friends. The episodes seen on these TV shows revolve around technology and young friendships. A lot of times they're telling us that we're antisocial, self-involved, or stupidly optimistic. The facade of these shows is simple entertainment. The reality is they're telling us a lot of things that we're fearful of, such as not being smart enough, not being social enough, not being kind enough. To conclude, the change in TV shows that we see currently are really a reflection about our society. The 5 major tropes we see have a lot of recurring ideas, and this is because they're all trying to cater to similar audiences.